Hi everyone. So as we head into the new year, I'm starting to get together my plan for the race. What I'm going to do, a rough training guide. I know that for the first 6 weeks it's just gonna be base building, and that's probably the best stage for me. Just having a lot of fun, getting out there, enjoying my running. I've got a race that I've booked up, which I'll tell you more about further down the line when we talk about the training plan. And I'm potentially going to be putting in a couple of others as well, because what I want to do is incorporate a little bit of speed. And I think the best way to really demonstrate the speed and how it's changed over time is going to be to jump into a couple of races, shorter races where I'm not running absolutely flat out by any means, but what I am doing is just moving that pace forward from what will be my ultra pace. And therefore I'm just getting the legs moving in a way that I want them to move, and just trying to access a little bit more depth to the way I run, rather than just heading into kind of a shuffle ultra pace early doors and then not really improving throughout the day. So there's some ideas that I had in mind. What I decided to do as well is do a bit of research, because I want to approach it a little bit more maybe scientifically, and I want to dive a bit deeper into the splits, into the pace zones that I need to be within at various points of race. Now, what's absolutely fantastic is a website called Race Director, and on that website, it happens to have, for this particular race anyway, that I did last year, all the splits. So I'm going to show you in a minute the splits for the guy who won, a guy called Rye Webb. He's been doing this race for I think 7 or 8 years, maybe even longer, and he won it this year with the course record being broken by, I think it's under a minute, but he was breaking the record anyway, and he just flew. So on the screen at the moment, what you're about to see are his splits. I'll just talk through the splits whilst you're looking at them now. So you can see there, just to kind of talk you through locations down the left-hand side, because it won't mean a lot to you. Where you see Newlands Corner are roughly about 13 miles or so into the race. So he's gone 13 miles in 1 hour 39, as you see over the right-hand side. As you move down towards Reigate Hill is around about 30 miles. So 30 miles there achieved in 3 hours and 57 minutes. Now, that's obviously way faster than I'll ever be able to achieve, but fascinating all the same. And you've got a finish time there of 6:36:55. Now, I do my splits in kilometres, not in miles. So that to me is a little bit more alien to try and navigate through, but you can see different pace zones. Quite phenomenal indeed. So that is the winner. Now, we can all look at winners of races and be really inspired, which I absolutely am. But what I wanted to do was try and find somebody who was around about that 10-hour mark. I was looking around about 10 hours 5 minutes, around about 9 hours 50, and I found somebody who did it in a time that's incredibly close to 10 hours, as you're about to see. So this individual here, and a little shout out to you, Mark, he has done the race in 9 hours 59 minutes and 48 seconds. So what better individual to study than Mark, because he's done it in exactly the time that I'd like it in. I mean, it's cutting a little bit fine, of course, but let's study now those splits. So we've got Newlands Corner again. I'll just take that one as the example. 2 hours 14 for roughly 13 miles, and then Reigate Hill 5 hours 45:36 for the 30-mile mark. So that's really positive for me to have those two markers, because I think certainly getting to 30 miles in a strong, comfortable position is going to be really important for me. Now, having done this training run, which I don't think I mentioned enough detail actually in my running videos, but I did a training run and it was running the marathon distance. So from the start line of a North Downs Way 50 up to the top of a place called Box Hill as roughly marathon distance. I did that in a training run in about 4 hours 30. So if you allow then an additional hour to run the other 4 miles, is it achievable for me to get to the 30-mile mark, as Mark has done here, in 5 hours 45:36? I think so. Now, when you then look at that, you've got to think about the buffer and the window that you're allowing yourself to do the further 20 miles. So then we move down to Caterham there, which I think is around about 38 miles, something like that. And then Botley Hill's around about that 45 mark with a finish time of 9:59:40, as I mentioned. You can also see that towards the end, kind of reassuringly, I suppose, that the pace starts to drop off, which is handy to know that actually it wasn't like a negative split run. It wasn't getting to 30 miles and suddenly kicking into gear and achieving that goal. hopefully you see that that's of some value. I found it really interesting to look at, and I'll continue to explore other people's paces as well. But what I think I'm going to be aiming for, whilst I'll have an average per kilometre to focus on throughout my run, what I also want to do is have real markers and pointers throughout the day, so I know that when I get to certain aid stations, I'll have it somewhere on my person, some key times. I then know at that point, okay, I'm 10 minutes ahead of schedule. I need to continue at this pace in order to achieve the goal. I think that's going to be mentally more positive for me than constantly having you must be an average pace, you must be an average pace. I'll be looking at my watch all day. And what I want to do is just move through the aid stations in a nice, smooth, sensible manner. I'll know way ahead of time and throughout my training exactly where I need to be and at what time and at what paces, because I'll run a lot of the route. But I thought I'd just share with you today that little insight, because having that kind of data is absolutely invaluable, and it just gives me everything that I need to know in order to achieve my goal, which is chasing that 10-hour mark, a sub 10 for 50 miles, which the more I see data like this, the more I can convince myself and believe in myself that it's perfectly within my grasp. So that's just a short video today, just discussing pacing and discussing some splits that I found. I'll dive into more detail in my training vlogs, of course, but I thought for now I'll just put this little video up and share with you a bit of an insight into what I found. So take care, I'll see you in the new year.